Hey guys, welcome back to the vlog. If you are new here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you can be a part of this family. Like this video and follow us on Instagram for any updates that are not on our vlog or that we just forget to vlog, to be honest, because we are a family of 4 and with 2 under 1.5, it gets really hectic. Okay guys, so today we are going to be talking about induced labor versus spontaneous labor. And the reason for this is one, I have had both kinds of birth experiences with each one of my kids. They were completely different. But I noticed when I was pregnant with Braxton that no one had really uploaded a video like this. So I wanted to do this for people who are wondering. Due to the fact that, yes, there was some medical videos online, like on YouTube is what I mean, of induction versus spontaneous, but they didn't really cover what I was asking. So I wanted to give both of my personal stories today. So maybe you will get something out of this, maybe you won't, maybe you just want to hear about both of my birth stories. But let's jump into it, guys. First, we are going to be talking about my induction. My daughter is now 1.5 years old, so bear with me. I may not have all the details, but I'm going to cover what I remember and how most of that went. My induction was 6 minutes shy, guys, 6 minutes from being 32 hours long. In and out of active labor. Did I just say labor? Labor. I meant labor. So on, I want to say the 23rd, the 23rd of December, right before Christmas Eve and Christmas, I had a doctor's appointment. And my due date was the next day. And I told them I was so done. I literally felt like crap. I said, I do not want to wait another week for an induction due to the fact of this was the only time my husband would get off. I did not want to labor alone or give birth alone. I wanted my husband to experience, and I wanted him to get time with his daughter before he went back to work. So maybe induction isn't what everybody agrees with, but to an extent, I agree with it until I had one. Unless, like, you've had an induction before. I don't know. There's many reasons. There's a bunch of controversial things about it. I agree with it, but then I don't agree with it, so that's my opinion on induction. Anyways. So they scheduled my induction for the 26th of December, the day after Christmas, at 4 o'clock that night. So they gave me a wash to wash with, just in case for some reason I had to have a C-section. They said, take this home. It's basically was like a sterile whatever wash that it tells you don't put it on certain areas, don't put it on your face, yada yada, don't put it down there, on your chest. Basically, you wash everything but your private areas in your face. So I washed with that literally the night before. It only took half a bottle because they wanted you to do it the night before and before you came in, since I had a night induction. So I did half the bottle the night before, half the bottle right before I was about to leave. So that morning, we got in the car, left, and arrived at 4 o'clock, probably a little bit sooner than that, but my induction was scheduled for 4 o'clock. So we got there, paperwork was all done, they started my IV, yada yada yada, normal stuff for any time that you go to a hospital, ER, whatever. So right after all the normal stuff was done, like vitals and stuff that they do everywhere, they told me that I was getting the Foley balloon before any Pitocin or anything was done, due to the fact is I needed to be dilated more. The Foley balloon can dilate you up to in between a 4 and a 5. They said that it would take about 12 hours to do. So I was like, okay, I have to have this thing in for 12 hours, yada, yada, yada. We're just going to hang out in the room, chill out, and wait for it to fall out. Because that's basically all you can do. And then you can walk around if you want to for gravity to help. And so that's what I did. I kind of got a little rest because I knew that I wouldn't get any rest in case I had her that night or early the next morning. So I rested for a little bit when they first put it in, but after that I got up, bounced on the ball, walked and everything. And the catheter, how it sat, the balloon part that sat on the cervix, also pushed on my bladder a little bit along with her head. So I felt like I had to pee constantly. And so I was getting up, I was peeing a lot, and then the last time that I went to pee, it fell out in literally 2 to 4 hours. So I was dilated in between a 4 and a 5, super earlier than what it was supposed to take, which was amazing. So I was like, yeah, we're gonna have her tonight, early in the morning. We're not gonna have to be here for so long. Because everybody was telling me, oh, it's your first baby, your first induction, it's going to be a while. And in my head, I was like, yes and no. That labor afterwards was awful. So let's give you the details on that. And just so you know, if I look down, I have everything that I remember written down about those labors, so I don't forget anything to tell y'all for what I remember. So if you see me looking down, that is what I'm looking at. So like I said, I dilated to a 5, and I was supposed to get Pitocin right after that, but they wanted me to wait a little bit because when the thing came out, they noticed my pee was really dark, and so they wanted to have a urine sample. They sent it off and found out that I had protein in my urine. So my OB did not catch that I had preeclampsia, and they ultimately said that delivering of the baby is what would solve all the problems. And I was like, okay, well, let's get this baby out, yada, yada, yada. Let's get the show on the road. Well, my headaches were getting worse. My blood pressure was skyrocketing, which was making her be in a little bit of distress. So they tried to give me, I think it's magnesium is what they give for moments like that. And that was not working, so they were like, okay, let's go ahead, right at shift change. Please be in mind, it has been a couple hours after then, so right at shift change, they were like, okay, well, let's get you your Pitocin. So they hooked me up to the Pitocin, and I stalled. My labor stalled, and so for a moment, they didn't know what to do, so my OB was not there at the moment. So they had to call her and see what she wanted to do. There was a lot of calling her. She should have been there, in my opinion. I feel like they should have got the whole game plan in case anything was to happen, so that she could get there in time and not have to be called 500 times, because they literally had to call her a lot. But so I started bouncing on the ball again, walking around, and like I said, my labor had stalled, so they just decided that they should turn down or turn off. I don't remember what they did. They either turned it off or turned it down, my Pitocin, so that I could get some rest, because it was hell, to be honest. It was awful. I'm going to be honest with you. It was awful. So, the next shift change was, like I said before, or if I even mentioned this, was in between 7 and 9 or something like that. I don't remember their exact shift change, but they worked 12-hour shifts. So that morning in between 7 and 9, they decided to turn up or turn back on my Pitocin. So I got about probably like 4 hours of sleep, on and off, for the simple fact, of course, they're coming back in there, they're checking on baby. I'd turn some way, they'd lose the baby, yada, yada, yada. They were making sure I was fine, getting everything. A couple times they had to give me heartburn medicine and headache medicine and some more magnesium just to see if it would work, and of course still wasn't working. So like I said, they turned it back on or turned it back up, whatever, and I was slowly, and I mean slowly, dilating. Hours and hours went by, and I was finally, I want to say a 6, and I had planned to literally go all natural. Even though I was having an induction, and I knew they say that contractions and everything are harder, I had planned to do everything all natural, and that did not happen. Like I said, I got about a 6, and I was literally felt nothing in my stomach. They were like, I was like, I have really bad back pain. And they're like, okay, well, he can just massage it or whatever. We can't really give you anything because it can affect the baby. And I was like, yeah, I don't want anything anyway. I just want to know what to do. So they tried different positions, and my back was still killing me. And they were like, you're having a really strong contraction. Do you feel it? And I was like, I don't feel anything in my stomach. But I felt everything in my back. And so they were like, you're having back labor. So I wanted to stall out, and I was like, I don't want an epidural. I don't want an epidural. And I kept telling myself that, but the back labor got so bad, you guys, that Thomas actually, this is funny, he went to push the button, and the woman started talking, and she couldn't even get all her words out of her mouth, and I yelled epidural. So about 30 minutes to an hour went by, and I finally got my epidural so that I wasn't like so distressed, and so, because I was shaking, it was horrible. I was feeling claustrophobic because I was stuck in one room. My nerves were gone. Guys, I was freaking out, and I mean freaking out. So once I got my epidural, I kept walking and bouncing around after I took like a little bit of a break, because like I said, my body had just had it, so I needed to like hydrate and rest for a little bit. So I took a small nap, got back on the ball, and started walking again. And let's see, again, a couple more hours went by, and I was finally to a 9.5, and my epidural had completely worn off. I was starting to feel everything. The only thing that I couldn't feel was my feet. And so they were like, okay, well, we're going, what they called it was a bonus or a bolus. I don't remember. Anyways, they gave me an extra like shot of epidural. So they gave me that extra boost, and they said, okay, you're ready to push. Let's do some practice pushes, because the doctor was not in there yet. So they said that the nurses can only do practice pushes, and then I have to hold out until the doctor got in. Well, those practice pushes were turning into something real, because before my epidural completely kicked in, I did a couple good pushes, and they were like, okay, well, you cannot push this good anymore. This baby's about to be here. So we need to stop pushing. And I was like, I have to push, I have to push. And finally, when the doctor got in there, I couldn't push. My little boost of epidural was so intense that I couldn't feel anything. I could not push correctly. She kept telling me I was pushing wrong, that I needed to do this and do that, and I couldn't do it. I was even holding my breath, and you're not supposed to hold your breath. And I was turning really red. My face was going numb because I wasn't pushing correctly. Just everything was not going right. And plus, right before the doctor came in, before my epidural had gotten that bad, they were like holding Annabeth in. And I was like, you're gonna have to deliver this baby. I'm not waiting on the doctor. Turns out I waited on the doctor. I'm sorry, guys. Turns out I waited on the doctor and I couldn't push anymore. I could not push correctly. So finally, after about an hour, she was here. Luckily, I did not have to have any help. But she had a really bad cone head from just sitting in there. And she was honestly, I'm not even gonna lie, she was ugly just because of her head. Luckily, after a couple days, it went away and she was my beautiful little girl. But she had a really bad cone head. So, like I said, after 6 minutes shy of 32 hours of labor, she was born at 11:54 p.m. on December 27th. And if y'all have any questions about induction that I didn't cover, you can comment down below or you can DM me on Instagram and I will answer those questions for you. If there's a lot of questions, I can answer them in another video, or if there's not, I'll just probably respond to you. But let's go ahead and talk about my son's birth and my labor experience with him. 100% completely different, guys. Completely different. If you can wait it out, I would have spontaneous labor. It is more control of your body. You can tell more about what's going on. It just goes a lot smoother. Yes, I still got an epidural, but I didn't stall at all, and everything was just magical. So let's actually just get right into talking about that. So this video is actually going to be pretty long, I just noticed, because I'm talking a lot, but it's very informational for somebody. So hopefully y'all will like this video. So it turns out that I ended up only having 10, maybe 11 hours of labor. That is it, compared to my induction of 32 hours. So it went by quick. So I actually had when you have at least one kid on your next kid, where I changed OBs, and I think it's mostly everywhere, but you can schedule an induction for any time after 39 weeks. So I wanted to make sure that I did not have a Christmas baby. That was set in my mind. Did not want a Christmas baby whatsoever. So I had a scheduled induction for the 22nd, the 21st or the 22nd. I think, yeah, I was supposed to go in super early on the 21st and probably have him by that night or whatever. Again, December. So before my was supposed to be induction, I had a lot of complications. His head was so low, I literally could not pee on my own. That sounds completely gross, but I could only pee in a shower or a bathtub. I actually was sent to the hospital to get a catheter because my bladder was so full at one point because I could not pee. So they were more so leaning towards inducing me anyway, but luckily he had came on his own. So I had literally the 19th, I went to the hospital and had to get, a couple days before the 19th, I had went and I got my catheter. Well, on the 19th, I thought my water had broke. So they said, okay, go in, have a test, yada, yada, yada. Turns out my water didn't break. So I was like, okay, guys, laughing and jokingly. I was like, okay, I'll see y'all tomorrow. or I'll see you Friday. I'm actually supposed to be here Friday for my induction. They were like, okay guys, we'll see you then, because most of the women over there were working on Friday anyway. We had all pretty much got acquainted with them. That sounds so sad, but they knew me as soon as I walked in, and they all knew what was going on, and that's how much I had went to the hospital the last couple weeks with being pregnant with Braxton. Just because it was always something after hours, so I couldn't go to my OB. I had to go to the OB that was on call at the hospital. If you hear my daughter crying in the background, I'm so sorry. She is going through not having a passy, and I think she just woke up realizing that her passy is gone. So she should go back to sleep, but I'm sorry if y'all hear her crying. Anyways, so like I said, we went to the hospital on the 19th, thought my water had broke. My induction was scheduled for the 21st. Well, on the 20th, which was a Thursday, I woke up and I was really crampy. I felt off. I was like, okay, I've never felt this way before, but not thinking of it. I'm just really crampy. I'm gonna go back to bed. So I kind of like laid there, but I could not go back to sleep because my cramps were just hurting. They weren't that bad, but they were noticeable. So like I said, in between 8 and 8:15, my labor had started, is what I realized. So I called Thomas around 10, I want to say, and told him what was going on. He told me, call the OB. Why are you calling me? I'm not a doctor. You could be in labor. You might need to go in, but I need to know, because at the time we were only down to one car. So he needed to know if he needed to get off work to take me to the hospital. So like I said, that was at 10. So I called the OB. At that point, when I had realized that I was in labor, before, when I called Thomas, they were about 6 minutes apart. By the time I called the OB, they were in between 5 and 4 minutes apart. Pretty consistent. I was like, yep, I'm in labor. They were like, okay, well, come in, and so we can get you checked out. You probably are in labor. You're probably going to have this baby. Is this your second baby, third baby, first baby, whatever? And I was like, this is my second kid. I've never felt like this. Pretty sure I'm in labor. And they were like, okay, come in. So I called Thomas back and I was like, you've got to get home. I'm in labor. And so it kind of threw a little curveball in our plans, because like I said, I was supposed to be induced the next day, but he was like, okay, I'm headed home. Granted, he had already headed home the day before to take me to the hospital for me thinking my water broke. So this time had to be right. He could not get in trouble for taking me to the hospital for no reason again. Not that he got in trouble the first time, just if it occurs so many times, they might think that he is just not right and telling them a lie, which he wasn't. So, but luckily I was in labor, so he finally got home in between 11:45 and 12 o'clock, and we headed to the hospital that was an hour and 15 to an hour and a half away. So we got there about 1:30 or so, and we went up and we thought we just had to go straight to labor and delivery. Turns out we were wrong. We had to go back through OBED, which is obstetrician emergency department, just for all women who are in labor and yada yada, just to make sure that you are in labor. They hooked me up to the monitor for about 10 minutes, and then they checked me and they were like, yep, you're in labor, your contractions are consistent, let's head over to labor and delivery. So I got over there, they got all the paperwork done, asked me if I wanted a mirror, if I planned to have an epidural, and I was like, yes, I want an epidural. So, oh, I forgot to mention, when they checked me, I was 6.5 centimeters already. So, I got my epidural at about 7.5 centimeters probably. And let me just tell you, a whole different experience. I don't know if it was the esthetician or esthetician. Did I really just say esthetician? That is not an anesthesiologist. Oh gosh, mom brain. But an anesthesiologist, I don't know if it was him or what, but that epidural was amazing. Yes, I was numb like I was supposed to be, but I wasn't over numb, for one. Two, I could still feel what was going on. I could still sort of lift my legs, because you're not supposed to really feel anything down there, but I could still move my legs, even though like I couldn't touch them and feel it, and they were tingling. So I was completely in control this time, and coming from a person who likes to be in control, that was absolutely amazing. That's all I can say. It was amazing. I wasn't scared to give birth, unlike with Annabeth. I was ready to go. I was ready to get my baby boy out, and I was like, okay, let's get this show on the road. I feel great. I'm completely in control, and I can do this. So, I got my epidural at, like I said, what I thought was 7.5. And not even 20 minutes later, she checked me and she was like, you're an 8.5, 9, but I can stretch you completely to a 10. You're ready to push. She said, let's go. Let's go do some practice pushes just to check and make sure. And she said, sure enough, you're stretching to a 10. You look like an 8.5. You feel like an 8.5, but you're stretching to a 10, girl. You are ready to push. And so we started practice pushes, and it quickly became the real deal. So, like I said, she was like, yep, you're a 10. No need to even stretch you. You are stretchy, but you're completely a 10. So, I ended up, everything went so fast. They forgot to give me my mirror so I could watch his like head come out, yada, yada, yada. Some women are into that. Some women aren't. And luckily, unlike our old hospital with Annabeth, the hospital that I delivered Braxton at was kind enough to let Thomas deliver our son. So he got to catch Braxton. He got to be involved more than with Annabeth. Yes, he cut her cord and held my leg, but that's it. He caught Braxton. He cut his cord. He was completely 100% down there, and actually, embarrassingly to say this, got squirted with like the fluid that I guess my waters, when he like came out, he got like squirted in the face. Y'all might think that's gross, but we just find it funny now. It is so hilarious, and I wish I would have had somebody to catch all these amazing moments. But nobody was in the room with us, just me and him, and who needed to be in there. So nobody caught the experience of him catching his son. But when I looked up and I saw his face and him holding his son, it was completely magical, guys. So Braxton was delivered at 6:39 and at night. So like I said, a total of between, 8:15 to 6:39, what is that, 10, 11 hours of labor, something like that. I'm not even sure. Okay guys, I didn't realize that this video was going to be so long, and I'm so sorry, but I hope you got everything out of it that you need. But if you have any questions, concerns, comments, etc., you can always comment down below or go follow me on Instagram and DM me there. Go ahead, give this video a big thumbs up. You can go ahead and subscribe to this channel also and become a part of the family. Until next time, guys, we'll see you in the next video. Bye.